Okay.
Okay.
We should be live just any moment now. I'm looking to see. I don't know if we're live yet or not. I don't see... Yeah, okay. I think we are live.
Perfect.
All right, so hello, good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, or good whatever time of night or day it happens to be, wherever you happen to be. This is Liviana with Republic News. Tonight, I am joined by two guests. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, please go ahead.
I'm Alex Tinsley, also known as Auns Mundai or Anime Mun, an author for Honey Badger Brigade's blog post.
Okay, Union Aerospace.
Yeah. Well, can I stay anonymous for the moment? Well, my name is Union Aerospace, and I'm currently studying on my college a degree of history at the Universidad Complutense de Madrid. I'm trying to finish a history degree so that I can do a master degree next, and that's about it. What I can tell about myself.
Okay.
Not the best of intros, I know, but
no, that's fine. All right, and I guess most of you know who I am, so no introduction is necessary. If you don't know who I am, you can always go and check my channel teaser or whatever you want to call it, and it'll tell you a little bit about who I am and what my qualifications are and stuff like that. So this is Friday the 13th. What do you think about that, guys?
Luckiest day of the year for my family most of the time.
Reminds me of Jason. Oh, I don't know. Well, Friday the 13th, it's not exactly a very special day. Well, it's been a lucky day today because I didn't have class today.
Oh, no class today.
Yeah, because we've had to do 2 archaeology classes yesterday. They couldn't do the one archaeology class today, so they moved it to yesterday.
Cool. So,
yeah, perfect in that regard.
We have a person in our Discord here who is also into archaeology, Carlos Castrejo. You may have seen some of his videos on YouTube.
Well, I have. I didn't know about it until now, and I'm that ignorant of some YouTube personalities so far.
If you check the history, archaeology, and so forth, or whatever it's called channel, you'll find that I've linked some of his videos in there. I am a moderator on his YouTube channel, just full disclosure, so I'm kind of promoting him, but I am a moderator there.
Well, if his subjects are about archaeology in the Mediterranean, well, I could certainly use his videos for help in my exam. So
a lot of his stuff deals with early man. He's done a lot of stuff about Homo neanderthalensis, and let's see, he did a thing on Cheddar Man not too long ago, I recall. He had some computer issues for a while, so he wasn't online for a bit, but he's back now, so hopefully he'll be putting out more content now.
Oh, hopefully. I'll have to check, because if he has Greek or Roman archaeology, then I could certainly use his videos for that. Full disclosure, of course.
Yes.
Full disclosure over here, too. Mostly because most of the time I have trouble memorizing images. Mostly because our teacher's sending us a crap ton of images, and they show us a picture next time and they say, yeah, tell us everything you know about this. And that depends on how the teachers also, give scores and such. Depends on the methodology. And
yeah, I'm more than familiar with college teachers and methodologies of grading. In fact, it's the reason why I never got my college degree.
Really?
Yeah, there was a particular teacher at the school I went to because I was going to college to become a jeweler. And I was going through the fine arts program at Murray State University.
Nice.
There was a teacher there named Zbigniew Smetana.
Oh,
That name is spelled ZBNYEK. Most people called him ZB.
oh boy, why am I feeling this is gonna go bad?
The only people who ever made an A in his class happened to have double D's.
Oh my goodness.
What?
You heard me, right?
Oh wow.
Oh fucking wow.
And they all went with him to Prague. And they all loved Titian because he loved Titian. You basically, if you didn't have his exact taste in art, there was no way you were getting a degree because you had to pass through his particular art history class if you wanted a degree in that arts program.
And that's how college is today, folks.
Well, some years ago, and I won't say exactly how many, but some years ago when I was an undergraduate, I did have a biology professor who tended to like the girls who wore short skirts and sat up front. And they seemed to do very well in his class.
Oh, fuck, this is all coming out of a fucking bad novel. Holy shit.
Yeah, so college professors can sometimes be a bit eccentric, shall we say.
Yeah, it depends. Either eccentric or fucking authoritarians, too.
Yeah. Like, give me half a second.
Okay. So what did you study yesterday in your archaeology classes?
We've already glossed over Greece and we're busy with Rome so far.
I suppose you've studied about Heinrich Schliemann?
Heinrich Schliemann, the guy who discovered Troy. Yes, I know of him. I know of him.
There was a series on PBS back in the 80s, late 80s, maybe early 90s.
All right, I'm back.
That
Welcome
was
back.
About Schliemann's discovery of Troy. I can't remember the guy's name, but I've got the book that was like the companion book to the series, and it was very interesting. Very interesting.
I'd have to check his videos for that. Also, speaking of Troy, I'm not sure if you heard about the BBC's latest tax funder project.
Yeah.
No?
Troy, the fall of a city. And you're gonna laugh. Can you imagine yourself a Black Achilles?
No.
Or a Black Zeus?
Oh, God.
Well, guess what they did?
You're kidding.
Nope. I'm not kidding. I'm not fucking kidding. Let me tell you, this is one of the sources I found. The BBC's latest taxpayer-funded pet project, Troy, Fall of a City, a massive financial and critical flop.
I remember now. Oh, that cringe fest.
So, 70% critic score, right, Giovanna? But you want to know the audience score?
What?
8%.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Here's what I was talking about. In Search of the Trojan War is a 6-part. It was originally done on BBC, but we got it on PBS in the United States. A 6-part BBC documentary series written and presented by Michael Wood, first broadcast in 1985 on BBC Two. So we probably got it about 1992 or something.
Oh, God. But the really fun thing is this: at the cost of 8 million British pounds per episode.
Goodness.
So, which if my estimates in dollars is around $11 million.
Yeah.
Per episode. Splitting of the cost between Netflix and the BBC means that each episode needed approximately 6.2 million views for each episode.
Wow.
To be considered having reached the hypothetical break. For example, that's such a huge bar, and I'm like, dude, not even Walking Dead racks that.
Yeah.
Walking Dead is a stinker nowadays, so. Oh, so the first two episodes reached only 1.6 million viewers out of the 6.5 they needed.
Talk about epic fail.
Yeah, it would be funny if it were not for the fact that this was funded with taxpayers' money.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said about the BBC's funding practices.
Oh, yeah. Or remember that time when the BBC gender-bended Doctor Who? Yeah, they did it last year when they introduced us a pretty white lady. And that was, apparently blew up in their face because apparently it was revealed that the BBC had a gender pay gap the size of the Grand Canyon.
Wow.
Yeah, they're saying there's a reason that we typically say that these social justice idiots are projecting big time.
I do want to say social justice warriors. I really don't like it whenever it's shortened to social justice because they don't really stand for social justice. They're not about social justice. Social justice is actually a good idea. It was first proposed by some Catholic theologian in the 1840s, and I guarantee you that what these guys are doing is not what that guy was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Most of the time, when I actually consider it in a realistic sense, there's a difference between social justice and then, air quotes, social justice. You get what I mean?
Right. I generally refer to those people as outrage mongers, and sometimes I call them postmodernist outrage mongers. Sometimes I call them post-structuralist outrage mongers. I used to just call them neo-Puritans.
Neo-Puritans, that's a perfect word. But you want to know a real champion of social justice? Call Dick Martin Luther King out of the grave then.
Oh, by the way, that video series, the documentary series by Michael Wood, In Search of the Trojan War, is available on YouTube, the entire 6 episodes. So I posted a link in the video description if you want to check it out later.
Yeah, I'll check it out tomorrow. So, well, thing is, if they want to know true people of social justice, why not inspire yourself on Martin Luther King? He was awesome.
Yeah. Martin Luther King was a good guy. Gene Roddenberry also.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yes.
Except for one thing I do have to say about Gene Roddenberry. What a fucking hate boner for the Romulans he had.
Oh man. That bugs me to no end what they did to the Romulans in the Next Generation, because in the original series the Romulans were the original honorable warrior species, right? And then sometime in the movies they switched that and gave it to the Klingons. I guess that was with Star Trek. Which one was the Star Trek 5? Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah, they turned them into jingoists.
And then when the Next Generation came out, the Romulans were just fascist bully boys.
Fascist jingoist bullies.
We have someone in the chat who says it's been established that Time Lords can change gender. In the 2003 Doctor Who story Exile, an alternate universe version of the Doctor is female. This is true, and we also had the master who regenerated into a female at one point, and was what was that character's? They called her by some name, and I can't remember now what it was. But you know, the master was also a Time Lord.
I know they didn't call her the mistress. That's for sure.
No, they called her something
that
like.
I
want to say Molly or something like that, but that's not right, is it?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Let's see. Well. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, 9 minutes before, Donald Trump announcement. Strikes are gonna happen. We're fucked.
When did you just see this?
CNN, apparently.
Missy, that's her name. The master, whenever he regenerated as a woman, was known as Missy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd have to start to dig up Doctor Who again. Hang on. Oh, good God, I'm so outdated in a lot of stuff. But, so, the thing is, I was speaking with a friend about the whole thing regarding Syria, you know? And two things. If everyone is crying about this is fucking World War III happening. And I'm sorry, but when I say that, when I hear that, you know what I'm like? Well, gee, if the fucking... we didn't throw nukes at each other when the Americans and Soviets were shooting each other down in Vietnam, so...
Yeah.
So it's not gonna happen now.
Yes, apparently... We just struck, the United States just struck Syria. Huh? Let me see what I can find out.
Yeah, at this point, I'm not going to consider anything without there being something solid, because
This is from the BBC. It says... U.S. and allies launched strikes on Syria chemical weapons sites 2 minutes ago. President Donald Trump says he has approved U.S. military strikes against Syria in collaboration with the U.K. and France. The strikes are in response to an alleged chemical attack on the Syrian town of Douma last week.
Alleged.
Quote, a combined operation with the armed forces of France and the United Kingdom is now underway, end quote, President Trump said in an address to the nation. Explosions were reported near the Syrian capital, Damascus. The strikes were ordered, quote, on targets associated with the chemical weapons capabilities, end quote, of the Syrian government, Mr. Trump said. The U.S. president said the purpose was, quote, to establish a strong deterrent against the production, spread, and use of chemical weapons, end quote. Quote, these are not the actions of a man, they are the crimes of a monster. Instead, end quote, he said of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, Syria has denied carrying out the attack. And I don't think that we had any kind of proof that or evidence that they did it. To my knowledge, there was someone looking into it, but...
No, there was supposed to be a group of inspectors working on the site.
Right.
But they were going to work on Saturday. They did the strikes on Friday. Or, well, before they were working. Like, let me tell you, President Trump didn't want any proof whatsoever. He just wanted to throw some bombs over there, and that's it.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on yet. That's the only thing I've seen so far is from the BBC.
I have no idea what's being thought of there.
For those who For those who want to follow the whole Syrian civil war thing, I'm posting on the Atrium link, which tells everything. It's a live Middle East map I found of the Syrian civil war.
Okay. I'm going to post this BBC article in the News and Stuff channel. And I'm going to send it out to my people at Google.
To be honest, I'm not even bothered about that anymore because they've been fear-mongering of World War III, and I'm like, yeah, bring it on.
No. I lived through the Cold War. We don't want another one. This is not good. This is not good.
I know I didn't live through, but the thing is, this is just feeling again like the fucking Red Scare of McCarthy.
Well, that's certainly what's been going on since about April of 2016. There's been increasing paranoia directed at the Russians since, for about 2 years now. So
when can the press just stop diddling with the fucking McCarthy Cold War, Cold War paranoia?
Basically, as soon as they get their jimmies off.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm tired. I'm tired of hearing them all the same. For example, they did the same shit with North Korea.
Yeah. They did.
When the fucking Tomahawk strikes happened in Syria, well, North Korea went on and said, no, we can throw bigger rockets. And everyone then started to say, oh, this is how World War III starts. And then nothing happened.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of pushed out.
Well, now.
It's depressing. It's either depressing or hilarious.
Hello, Mycroft. I see my boyfriend has joined us now. Hello. You want to tell everybody who you are? You're going to have to do it this time. Last time he said no.
Preferably unmute your mic.
Fix your damn echo.
Well, I unplugged the external speaker this time. I thought that would resolve it.
I'm not hearing any echo on my end.
This time I thought that would resolve it.
I'm not hearing any echo on my end.
I do still hear it, yep. Okay. Oh, goodness. I don't think it's as bad as it was last time, though, so that at least is something.
True.
Alright, Lunar 5, do you want to introduce yourself? Yes. So tell everyone who you are. Everyone else had to do it. You have to do it too.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
Do it.
Great.
Do 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 do.
Well, it's not gonna happen, I think.
By Doctor's fuzzy beard.
I don't think so.
Ow, my fucking ears!
That was my son.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm wearing earbuds.
Oh god, I think I'll start to build some earbuds over here. At any rate, it's just... Well... It's just, the whole thing of this has just beaten down to the core, and... what else is new, right?
Indeed.
What else is new? Is you guys is gonna bomb some Middle Eastern shithole? That's not news for me.
I'm gonna go see if I can find my earplugs. I mean my headphones, sorry. You guys carry on. I'll be back. Matt, you should introduce yourself.
Okay.
You bad boy.
Well then, well... Oh, by the way, You know, there's been rumors of apparently a Teen Titans show happening.
Oh, I've seen the live action photos of it already. They were being talked about on YouTube Saints last night. Well, not last night. Well, yeah, Midweek Saints.
I'm sorry, but when I saw that, you know what I thought? Holy fucking shit! That's supposed to be studio production value.
Yeah, I'm about to send you a little bit of a meme I ended up making because of last night.
Oh, send it to me, please.
It'll be in your DMs.
Starfire 2018.
Yeah.
I cannot dispute that. I cannot dispute that.
Yeah, you could tell why that was a joke they almost...
Are you sure they're not going to crucify you for that joke?
Oh no, I already sent that.
Oh man, though, what a... Oh, well, fuck. But yeah, when I saw those photos...
Hey, if he didn't want that joke to be made, he shouldn't have put on that hat.
Really? Well, fucking hell. So far, 2018, what the fuck? What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
What a fucking time. Am I the only one in my fucking college who has some degree of fucking common sense?
Not the only one.
Yeah, but I hope it's not because of that. Well, now in this fucking website in which I've been checking the news of the whole thing of this, now everyone is clamoring, this is it, this is World War III.
I just wish that everybody would stop trying to make World War III happen.
Yeah, of course.
Because honestly, I think the whole idea is to have a maximum amount of people panicking to where they'll start going around and just buying up a lot of stuff needlessly.
Yeah, I know.
And that's what I think it is at this point. World War III is a marketing scam.
Yep. It's not. It's, how you call it? It's a fucking marketing scam so far.
Yeah. Either a marketing scam to get you to keep watching mainstream media, or to go to your nearest big box store and buy that huge thing of bonbons you've been thinking about.
Mm-hmm. But you wanna know? Do you wanna know the how you call it? The joke is apparently there's news of Russia of a Russian TV mockingly preparing for war against the United States.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna be fine. The Russians are not that interested in escalating things apparently.
No. Last thing Putin wants at this point is
Goodness gracious.
Goodness, is that a child or a
He will totally take on the
toddler? He's a toddler. He is 3.5 years old, and he's now watching one of his favorite shows, Puppy Dog Pals, a show about pugs.
Oh no! Not the Countdown Killer podcast.
Though my son is a born shitlord.
Uh-huh. All right.
Oh,
Let me
man.
find here.
So, what we were talking about, Giovanni, I was talking about him about the new Teen Titans show they were doing.
Oh, that thing, yes.
Yeah. I made a meme and showed him. I'll send it to your DMs too.
Okay.
Like, I'm really
Jeff
grateful.
last night.
They're gonna be telling me that I'm fucking racist, but
Yeah.
did they think that actress as Starfire was a good idea?
Oh, yeah, I saw. Yeah. I cannot find my headphones, by the way, so I'll have
that
to.
sucks.
I bought new ones not too long ago, and I thought I had them in my laptop case, but apparently not.
Yep. The thing is, when I see that, I'm like, well, it's not that. For example, you know the actress that played as which was the Green Babe in Guardians of the Galaxy?
I didn't see the movie, so I don't know.
Gamora?
Yeah, Gamora is the character's name, but I don't know the actress.
The actress who played as Gamora, she was also in that role.
Yeah.
Like, she fit it perfectly. Nailed it.
Well, one thing, since the Teen Titans show is a television series.
No.
Yeah, the thing that's coming out is going to be a television series. I researched it earlier. But basically, they don't want to have to pay to body paint Starfire every single episode. Because that would be extremely expensive after a while. And, I mean, if you look back at a lot of the makeup costs for stuff like Star Trek DS9 and Voyager also had a lot of costs when it comes to makeup, and that was mostly prosthetics, and that was not full body paints most of the time.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you're right in that regard. But even so, you think... Sorry, go on.
But I would have thought that something they would have preferred to do was something that they could more handle in post. Like, say, get someone and then change, like, the gamma in the shot to get the color to look similar.
True. But,
yeah.
But even so, you'd think something with a decent budget, they'd at least give a rat's ass about it. When I see those,
get the hair color right. I mean, damn, sure, they'd have to do a wig regardless.
Yeah.
But at least get the right color wig. Because Starfire has orange hair, not neon pink.
Neon pink, and it's almost as if Hollywood or the media itself has that crusade against redheads.
So I have another article here which Mycroft threw at me. It's from the Daily Mail. It says, Syria crisis live. Russia claims chemical attack was staged by Britain. And blah, blah, blah. And then it says, Britain could begin a bombing. This was sometime earlier, apparently. 4:03 EDT. So it was sometime this afternoon.
My wife just told me that apparently Trump's making a live announcement about the whole Syria thing now.
So there's a bunch of stuff here. I'm trying to find where. Oh, here it is. Britain staged chemical attack, Russia claims. Russia has accused Britain of staging an alleged chemical attack in Syria as the UN warned the Cold War is back with a vengeance. Sky News report.
Okay. Fucking hell, why can't they just fuck off each other? Like, fuck off Syria. Syria is now a fucking destroyed hellhole.
I've got New York Times. Trump orders strikes on Syria over suspected chemical weapons 32 minutes ago. National Public Radio 26 minutes ago. U.S.-led coalition launches attacks on Syria. CNBC 4 hours ago, blah, blah, blah. 21 minutes ago, CNN, Trump, U.S., France, and UK launched strikes on Syria.
He's hoping that peace, joining other civilizations and trying to do peace.
19 minutes ago, U.S. launches military strike on Syria in response to chemical attack from CBS News. And it's going on with several more articles and news broadcasts. So, well, I guess we're maybe at war. I don't know.
If the thing for the Tomahawks didn't put a war, I don't think this is gonna happen.
We're talking about.
Well, we have been in unceasing war since what, 2002 or 2003? 2002, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
We've been involved in bombing various countries ever since then. I don't know how many. Don't know if any of these have been declared wars or not, but certainly there's been military activity.
They've been considered conflicts.
Yeah, like Vietnam and Korea.
Exactly.
Well, what fun.
The thing is, there was a rumor of a Russian raid that was beaten back with 300 losses on the Russians a long while ago in Syria. There was a rumor around that. So if 300 Russian dead has not started the war, I'm not even sure what's going to start it.
Well,
my point is, it's all fucking fear-mongering at this point.
It's theater.
It's fucking theater, all for the sake of a quick buck and a quick view.
Yeah.
There is a paper that was published by the Center for New American Security back in April, May, somewhere around then, of 2016. Center for New American Security is a neoconservative think tank. It is the successor to the Project for the New American Century, which some of you may be familiar with. And a lot of the same people who were in PNAC are also in CNAS, whereas PNAC people were very cozy with George W. Bush, and several of the members were members of his cabinet. The CNAS was very cozy with Hillary Clinton, but she didn't get elected, so I don't know. But anyway, they published a paper back in the spring of 2016 in which they said, among other things, that we need to have non-Russian pipelines going through Syria. They talked about potential war with Syria and Iran and noted that it might provoke Russia. Did some historical revisionism with regard to what happened in Libya. It's a very interesting paper. And it is at the Internet Archive now because I made sure of that. They kept moving it around on their damn website, so I couldn't put a link to it in my blog post. So I just said, well, screw you guys. I'm gonna get the Internet Archive to put it up, you know.
Yeah,
Oh my god, what a time we're living right now, though.
Yeah. is.
I swear to God, if this escalates, I'm just gonna say, fuck it, we're fucking off of NATO.
Yeah, I'm pretty. What I'm seeing from some of these details, I'm pretty sure that a bulk of the reason that is a British-French joint reining us in is partially because Brexit hasn't been finalized yet, so Britain is still a part of the European Union. And European Union wants all that Syrian land. That's been something that's been going around for years. And
yeah, probably.
So this is probably a jab so that the European Union can get more land out of Russia and try to survive a little bit longer. Because I don't think any of us has the delusions entertained that the European Union is going to last even half this century.
Wanna know the big problem with the European Union right now? The European Commission is a problem.
Yeah.
So, the European Parliament is elected by popular vote, right?
Yeah.
But the European Commission, which is the ruling body of the European Union, is not elected.
Yeah, and they're not a judicial court either.
Exactly.
Yeah, the only people who can propose new legislation for the European Parliament members to vote on are themselves unelected. So the people in the European Parliament can't propose new legislation. They can only vote on legislation proposed by these unelected bureaucrats.
Yeah, and that's just a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
And the fallout of it is starting to show.
So I mean, there were things. If you read The Guardian, and I know a lot of you probably don't. The Guardian used to be a much better paper than it is now. About 4 or 5 years ago, The Guardian was a pretty good paper. I mean, they had a lot of typographical errors, which is where you get that reference to them as the Groudian. But they had better anti-establishment reporters at the time. Now it seems like that's not the case. But they did have some articles back the year that the Brexit thing was being considered and was going to be voted on, which were from all sorts of positions. I mean, they were all pretty more or less leftist, but as far as pro and con, they had both sides talking about it. And I remember there was an article called The Leftist Case for Brexit. So, I mean, there were people all over the spectrum in the UK who were in favor of pulling out of the EU, and for various reasons.
Yeah. The current form of the EU is just not going to survive. It's not. It's economically unstable for starters. And its entire basis for its laws is tenuous at best.
You wanna know my impression of the Union right now, what it is? Personally, my feelings of the Union is this. It's rotten. It's rotten to the core. It's rotten to the core. As it started out as a really great idea until it became what I call the Northern Countries Club.
Yeah, what needs to probably happen is basically clear the foundation and start from scratch.
Yeah, that'd be easier said than done, because dismantling it would be the equivalent of just admitting wrong, and admitting wrong since the end of World War II. Nah, buddy, not gonna happen.
And particularly not out of Germany.
Not all of fucking Germany, considering that many are calling the European Union as the Fourth Reich.
Yeah. Well, my friends and family in Scotland have for years referred to the EU as the Euro Reich.
Yeah.
And yeah, probably it might deserve its moniker of the Euro Reich. Because guess what's been happening? Well, with the whole economic crisis, right? You know, it's hitting us really hard over here in Spain.
Yeah.
Guess which was the priority of the Spanish government during its last 10 years? To repay the debt owed to the Germans and to the British, but mostly to the Germans.
Yeah.
So all of these measures, economic measures, they've been implementing on us. All they've done is to drive our living standards to the ground, whilst benefiting the German Federal Republic.
Yeah, it's why Catalonia wanted out.
Thing is, for example, Catalonia has been a hotspot in our country for 2 centuries already. I would be sympathetic to Catalonia if they didn't how do you call it? If they didn't do such a degree of historical revisionism.
Yeah.
For example, they've been telling all over the world that for example, that they were the Jews of Europe to begin with, as in implying that we were the fucking Third Reich according to them. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but where's the gas chambers for Catalonians then? Are we gassing Catalonians now? But then again, the Catalonian independence looked to me like a fucking clown, anyways. Probably call me biased if you want. Call me biased because I'm from Spain, and but I have to admit that this issue should have been addressed 40 years ago.
Well, you had Franco in power at the time, right?
At the time, yeah, but in 1978, we had the New Democracy going on. And even then, we still didn't allow the Catalonians to have a referendum.
Yeah.
We knew this was going to happen, yet we didn't do anything. But the thing is, to the uninformed, I have to warn this. The Catalonian politicians, wow, what a scum they are sometimes.
Yeah, you are correct. 40 years ago was 78. Goodness, it doesn't seem like that's been quite that long ago. So Franco was already gone by then. He died in 75.
Yeah, but we had to, dismantle the whole apparatus of the regime in order to rebuild it.
Yeah.
Rebuild the whole, But the thing is, to me, the Catalonian politicians, I consider them a bunch of thieves. A bunch of dishonest, hypocritical thieves. Because they ride their coattail on the zone nationalism idea and independentism, while they keep stealing from the Catalonian people.
What do you think about independence for the Basques?
Ironically, the Basques haven't complained after the government of Zapatero. They've been laying quiet ever since, and we don't know what the fuck happened. What kind of negotiations did Zapatero with the PNV? But ever since then, they haven't said anything.
What about Galiza?
What?
Galiza.
I'm not sure what you mean. What you mean? I have to check in order to.
Galicia.
Oh, Galicia. Well, Galicia is a special case. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
They're the exceptional individuals of Spain, mostly.
Speaking of exceptional individual,
I mean,
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go here in a minute, but I want to show something. This will be in the voice text for this. I'm going to share a picture my wife sent. This is kind of funny because my late stepfather, who came from a Scottish bloodline, is from Alabama. Alright, do you see it?
Where Ancestry and eHarmony are the same. Really? Oh my goodness. Ancestry.com and eHarmony are the same in Alabama.
Really? Honestly, that's not really... You're more likely to find that in North Carolina. That just ends up looking funnier because of the text.
Right. That's you know, it's really strange how the South has this reputation for inbreeding and incest and the like. When in the early 20th, until the time of automobiles, basically, or until probably after World War II, when the automobile became like the new way of America. One of the most
commonplace a lot of places.
One of the most inbred places in the United States was Western Massachusetts, back in the Catonic Mountains.
Yeah. That's where kind of the blue blood stain came from, right?
The blue blood, actually, that term comes from the royal houses of Europe, because there were a lot of them who were bleeders. They had what is that called? Anemia? No, not anemia. What is it where you get cut and you can't stop bleeding? Anyway, they had that condition that was hereditary.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've read any of H.P. Lovecraft's works, he has a lot of stuff about Western Massachusetts and how they were inbred.
I remember there's one family there that was so inbred that their skin started to turn kind of bluish.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Also, apparently there's already news. There's already photos, videos, and images filtrating of the whole bombardment of Damascus right now.
Oh, goodness.
Some are reporting that apparently Russian assets have been launched.
Let's see what we can see here. I'm going to refresh my news feed page and see what I've got here.
Well, so you want to know what this means, right? Say goodbye to one of the last secular regimes in the Middle East.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, for the longest time, you know, I did not support the war in Iraq because Saddam Hussein was at the time one of the only national leaders in the Middle East who was not some kind of religious fanatic.
But Saddam Hussein was a fucking asshole. But
yeah, no doubt about that.
But at least he kept things in check there. As in, his death has caused all of this. Yeah. Way to fucking go, George W. Bush.
There's a lot of things that could be said there, but I do have to go.
All right. Well, thanks for hopping in, and maybe we'll see you again.
Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, guess it's us now so far.
Just us three. See, and let me see, what is my boyfriend off playing the Elder Scrolls Online.
Tests, huh? The thing is, I'm not sure what to say about this, but I think Trump has destroyed his possibilities for a re-election.
Maybe.
Because, come on, his voters are not gonna be that exceptional to vote him again, are they?
I know a lot of them voted for him because they didn't want to have World War III, and everyone was, I mean, everyone except the diehard partisan Democrats and Hillary fans were convinced that if she got elected, we would be in World War III. So, but I think it depends a lot on who runs against him, you know. That's certainly a consideration that we have to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. But it's just, I'm fucking tired of everything, Giovanna. I'm tired of leaders who, well, don't give a fucking rat's ass about their own people. Tired of fucking, of this fucking warmongering in general.
Yeah.
And this is Cold War 2.0 all over again. Except I didn't ask for it.
Yeah, I didn't want any Cold War. It wasn't fun the first time. I mean, I can remember having these we had what they called them, drills, you know, in case of a nuclear attack. When I was in elementary school.
Oh, was it the duck and cover exercises?
Yeah, I kind of get under your desk and yeah, like that's gonna help.
As if that's gonna save you.
Right.
No, I'm not even sure why the fuck they did those drills. As if those were gonna save anything. But then again, who knows? Maybe the school was at the edge of the blast zone. So.
Well, I grew up in Houston, which was a port city, and you know how that.
Oh.
Yeah. International Port City would have been one of the. I mean, you know, we had NASA, and.
Good self reassurance. Keep the people from panicking.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Yeah, that's well. This is bringing me flashbacks when I saw When the Wind Blows. Awesome movie, that one, by the way.
When the Wind Blows?
Never saw that one?
No.
Oh, well, it's one of the jewels of 1986, I think. Basically, the premise is basically a couple of an elderly couple who are in Sussex, England, right?
Mm-hmm.
In which they're living their cozy lives when tensions with the Soviet Union are gonna bring to World War III, right? So in preparation for that, they start to follow these whole, which was papers that the British government published to build your own fallout shelter.
Oh yeah, I remember those. A lot of people, you know, there was a fallout shelter at my university. I mean, it was no longer in use. No one had, I don't think anyone had been in there in a long time. I remember going in there because I worked in audiovisual, so we had storage stuff, and we had to go and clean stuff up and move stuff around.
Oh.
But, yeah.
Well. With that thing, well, so when that happens, they start to build their own fallout shelter. And that slowly but surely, when they start noticing the contradictions of the British papers, like for example, shield the fallout shelter with a door, for instance, with a. Like, wait a minute, how the fuck are we supposed to do this with a door if we've taken the door out?
Mm-hmm.
The contradictions like that, you know?
It's an animated disaster film from 1986.
Mm-hmm. And a really beautiful one, too.
I've never heard of it before.
It's dark, though. Really dark. It takes a turn for the dark once the nuke hits.
You know this song Seconds by U2?
No, which one?
It's called Seconds.
Seconds. No, I didn't.
Takes a second to say goodbye, oh, oh, oh. Takes a second to say goodbye, oh, 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 say bye-bye. Where you going to now? Anyway, that was a song about the possibility of a nuclear war, and it came out in, I'd say 84, 83, somewhere around then. Well, 83, it was on their album War.
Oh, nice. Well, the thing is, so far, I've been debating all of this situation with a friend of mine who I have in the United States. And he concluded to me that nuclear war planning has changed a lot from the early days of the Cold War. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He says that apparently now the objective is not to nuke every single major population center, as it was in the early stages of the Cold War, right? But now the military planning calls only for bombardment of silos, radars, and all of that shit.
Right.
So in theory, your city would be a target if you had a nuclear silo next to it. If not, in theory, you should be safe. In theory. But then there's the whole thing of the nuclear fallout and, you know, all of that jazz.
Yeah.
Not to mention the inevitable communications breakdown that would follow. Because isn't there an EMP thing going on with the nukes also?
I don't know. I do know that, you know, growing up in Texas, we had all kinds of military stuff all over the state. We had, let me set something here. I'm going to bring Mycroft in.
Okay. The thing... Yeah, you were saying, by the way?
Well, like Lockheed Martin had their stuff up in Dallas-Fort Worth area. We had NASA in Houston. There are several military bases scattered throughout the state. So I think Texas would probably have been a wasteland.
Yeah, I mean, there would be silos in Texas, but California would be a fucking wasteland, though. Because I heard there's a large concentration of the nukes of the U.S. are in California.
They probably would have hit Colorado pretty hard, too, because Strategic Air Command is there.
Strategic Air Command is... It isn't NORAD, is it?
I don't know. I think NORAD and Strategic Air Command are different, but I don't get me to lying because I'm not sure.
But yeah, I just think that in 1 week everything is gonna be over as always.
All right, I'm gonna move him in here with us. Hello, Mycroft. You need to unmute yourself.
Hey, everybody ready for World War III?
Hey.
We've been discussing that.
It's not gonna happen. Sorry, don't get your hopes up. We're not all gonna have to go to war soon. It's not gonna happen.
I know. I've been explaining to everyone. So why, in my opinion, it's not gonna happen.
I love all the people on Twitter right now, like sharing shit that's like, I'm having my last drink before the war kicks off. Like, just shut up. Russia's not interested in fucking going to war. They're not interested in it. The only reason that Putin postures the way that he does is because that's what the people expect from him. But it's all posturing. Do you remember when was it? Turkey shot down their warplane? This was a couple years ago. Do you remember that?
Yep. I remember that.
Do you know what he did?
Nothing.
He did something. He went down there and had a personal sit-down with Erdogan, or it was his ambassador, I don't remember which, and just basically scared the ever-loving shit out of him for about an hour live on TV. It was all over his body posture, the way he was talking to him. This is what Putin does. He's just like the big spooky guy in the corner that's like, don't fuck with me, you know? And he's doing that specifically because he wants to posture like they're capable of any sort of warfare right now, but they're not. And,
I know.
Yeah, so this is the thing. You'll get a little bit of an air show out of them because they have a stupid naval base in Syria. And then that's it. That's all there's going to be. And Trump's smart enough to do the same thing that he always fucking does, which is announce his attack, which tells all the Russians to, hey, get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens. And this is like a little fucking show that, you know, Russia and the U.S. get to put on occasionally.
That's a real life dick waving contest, dude.
It's more like pro wrestling. None of it's real. None of it's real. It just looks real.
It just looks real. Also, let me tell you a thing. Fucking Erdogan, I fucking hate that prick with all my heart. Like, Ataturk must be rolling in his grave right now.
Yeah, so I mean, you'll see Russia throw some warplanes out there. I think somebody was saying that they had scrambled some jets or some shit. I don't know. It's not going to be anything big. So
I know.
People are expecting some like armed conflict and Trump to turn around in 5 minutes and drop troops, and it's like, nah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, yeah, I hate. You know why I hate fucking Erdogan? He's the prototype of a sultan. He's the fucking prototype of a sultan who wants to rebuild the Ottoman Empire.
I don't know what that guy is doing. His iconography is weird. You know what's really funny is if you go through and look at some pictures of current day Turkey and just look at their capital, you'll see his face like on you know, those large screen TVs that they hang around like in like the same kind of shit you'd see in like Times Square.
He's a tyrant.
Well, instead of having the banners, it's just the TVs now. So his face will be up there, but anytime they roll through with like some sort of foreign crew or something like camera crew, they'll just change the TV screens to show something else, so it doesn't look as despotic as it actually is. But yeah, no, that's he's trying to you know, make himself like a public icon, and some people say it's like a caliph thing. He doesn't have the rights for that. Other people, you know, say it's about, you know, like you said, rebuilding the Ottoman Empire, which is retarded. The only thing that scares me about Turkey is their fucking land army. It's just enormous, and there's no reason for it to be that big.
Yeah, I know. But for example, you know what they've done just 10 hours ago?
No.
This thing. Turkish forces and Turkish-backed forces removed Kurdish and Arabic signs of official institutions in the Kurdish city of Afrin and replaced them with Turkish signs.
Yeah.
They're finishing what the Ottoman Empire couldn't finish.
Dude, the fucking Kurds have been like shooting up and blowing up their police stations for ages. They hate the Kurds. This has been going on for decades.
Kurds, the case of the Kurds comes, I'm not sure if it even comes from after World War I or something.
They're stateless people and they want to set up shop near Turkey, and I don't know what the ideological difference is there. I've heard there is one. I don't know. But a lot of them are a bunch of, I don't know I don't want to just call them blanket communists, but like the PKK, for example, are pretty, they're like that subset of the, what is it, the YDP? I don't even know.
The PKK may be blanket communists, but, they are fucking blanket communists.
Well, somebody like Erdogan's not going to want that set up right next to his country for obvious reasons.
For fucking obvious reasons, I know.
So,
yeah. But there's several dark implications of Turkey. Turkey still hasn't recognized the Armenian genocide, for instance.
Is that a meme? Is that a meme now? I think
no. Well, the Armenian genocide, you know.
I know.
Oh, you're shitting on. You're taking a piss on me right now. But remember when the Young Turks also did that?
They're not gonna admit to that shit. Why would they? Why would they do that?
But yeah, I know. Well, they're never gonna admit to it.
Well, I mean, like, well, you could just turn around tomorrow and be like, you know what? We're really sorry we sort of killed a whole bunch of people. Like, what's the benefit of that? What do you?
True. What the fuck is there a benefit there?
They're probably looking at Germany and being like, yeah, we don't want to be that country. All that guilt flowing around, you know.
Fucking Germany. One of them way professing guilt, but the other way they're squeezing us, the southern countries, dry.
Yeah. Germans, what are you gonna do? That's what they do.
Fucking bunch of hypocritical cunts.
I think really what it is that they're very Germans are very they're institutionalists, you know, and it's part of their ethos to create systems that work efficiently, and they don't care. So I think at some point they don't really get to the point where they care about the long-term implications unless that can be proven. So it's like Merkel with her whole interest in the European Union. To me, it makes complete sense why she, with her background, would push for something like this and be at the head of it. Really, I mean, it's just a German mentality.
Yeah, I know.
But and they have every right to think of that as one of their national I don't know. One of their national things. I mean, if you look at their education system, it's pretty fucking phenomenal. I mean, I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but the way they do it, it's basically that they have it all stripped down. You just go to a building and you take your education and your courses, and that's all state funded because it's so fucking threadbare.
Indeed. Hell, even someone who is doing like something like trade school in Germany can get a fucking job there.
Yeah.
Someone with no degree can get a job there.
Well, they're very good at state planning. I mean, and that's the thing. It's really funny. We basically wrote their constitution, and they've used it. Like the evolution of that constitution in Germany has been completely different than the United States. Like they've used it completely differently, and I would say to a degree, probably more functionally. I don't agree with their. Well, I can't say that. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah. The thing that burns me about the Germans is a lot of things they've been saying, mostly to us Spaniards. But,
oh, you're Spanish?
Yeah.
You poor bastard.
I fucking know, right?
Hey, when are you letting more refugees into your country?
I know.
Don't worry about all the ones that are already there. They're not on the book, so they don't count. Don't worry about those people.
Actually, where I go, there's not a lot of immigration so far. At least it's not as noticeable.
You guys haven't taken barely any refugees. There's a whole fucking march through the streets in your country over it. Your populace flipping the fuck out because you hadn't taken the refugees you had agreed to take.
Yeah, to those who say...
Because you have a whole bunch of illegals from Morocco.
And when I hear that, I'm like, fuck off, will you?
Yeah. It's actually really fucking funny. Yeah. I know a Catalonian guy, so I get that end of the fucking story too, which is funny.
Oh.
Your accent is much better than his, by the way.
Yeah, about the Catalonians. Well, I'm not gonna speak bad of the Catalonians. What I'm gonna be speaking bad is of their fucking leaders.
No, well, you mean their leader that's not even in the country anymore?
Well, I meant that there's been a lot of historical revisionism going on with how you call it, with the Catalonians going on. The Catalonian nationalists love to rewrite history a lot.
They also like to ignore when they're getting fucking bailed out by the main government, the Spanish government. They just like conveniently ignore that. But as soon as they're cranking out a shit ton of money from tourism, they're just like, we're the best thing ever. We could totally exist on our own.
For example, they've declared that since Slovenia did a referendum, there's their referendum is also legal. When I'm like, well, only half of the population voted on your thing. While in Slovenia, 90% of the population voted for the separation of Slovenia from Yugoslavia.
I just don't like how they went about it. Like, I'm totally fine with Catalonia wanting independence. I'm totally fine with that. It's the way that they went about it. It's just really fucking underhanded. Like, we're gonna organize a vote, and if the Spanish government doesn't recognize, fuck them. And then it's like you find out later they're like it's not in the Spanish Constitution to be able to even vote to leave in the first place. So it's like you know what you're doing at that point. You better have the guns to back that up. And then the next thing I see is a whole bunch of fucking Catalonians getting their heads kicked in by police, and it's like, well, what the fuck did you think was going to happen?
Want to know the best fun thing? The police that kicked them in was the Mossos de Squadra. Their own community police kicked their heads in.
Ah, there you go.
They thought their police would protect them because there would be, you know.
Yeah, the funniest fucking thing about it is all those stupid advertisements they started flooding out there after all this shit went down. Like, help us, help us. Like, they're asking for help from the European like community, and it's like, who the fuck's gonna bail your asses out? You know, like like, what do you think France is gonna come marching into Spain and be like, let our people go? Like,
ironically, look, this is a funny case I'm gonna tell you. Catalonia separated itself from Spain in 1640 because there was an uprising against Spain during the 30 Years' War. It allowed the French in, and guess what happened after? The Catalonians begged to be reintegrated into Spain.
No, of course. We got a bunch of fucking opportunists, man. That's what they are.
I don't know why they begged for it. Because the French were tearing their institutions apart. The Frenchmen were tearing their institutions apart, and the French were like, "Didn't you want to be with us? Well, you're gonna be with us." And you know how the centralist nature of the French state is, right?
Yeah.
Well,
they were socialists before it was cool, man.
Before it was cool. It's just fucking hilarious when I keep hearing but the thing is, the Spanish press can't stop talking about it. Why? Because it's a perfect smoke screen. It's
But
the perfect
Catalonia
smoke
is?
screen. Yes.
Smoke screen for what? Doesn't half of your country want to leave?
Well, we have other issues. But for example,
Okay.
well, for example, you remember when the Basques were crying over the whole thing too?
No, you have to fill me on that one.
There was a nationalism going on in the Basque country,
Oh.
and ever since the government of Zapatero, they haven't said anything at all. They've been laying quiet. Want to know the scary thing? We don't know what Zapatero did with them.
No, I probably pulled a Franco.
Yeah, all we know is that he went there, talked with them, and then...
Did he fly over the country in a helicopter?
Oh, I remember when our current president tried to fly in a helicopter once.
Oh, man.
Yeah, guess what happened? The helicopter crashed.
Oh, goodness. So, yes, hi, Ryan. We do have an echo, unfortunately, but it's not as bad as the last stream. I believe you were in the last stream. I had my external speaker plugged in then, and I didn't realize my microphone was picking it up. So apparently my microphone is picking up the speaker from the computer itself as well, but I don't think it's as bad as the last one. So if I could find my headphones, I would have used them, but unfortunately I have no idea where they are. I thought they were in my laptop case, but they aren't. So I'll have to dig around a little more and see if I can't find them for the next stream.
Good luck with that.
Oh, I'm sure they're here somewhere.
But well, but yeah, that's just Spain is a curious case. It's just a curious case, you know.
Who's your prime minister right now? Your president?
Don Mariano Rajoy. What a fucking joke of a president he is.
That party is what, the PP? What does that stand for again?
The Popular Party.
Popular Party.
Which is anything but popular.
Yeah, still, well, I mean, yeah. I mean, just look at your economy's not doing too hot. How are you doing since the last bailout?
Well, honestly, sometimes I'm feeling like, fuck this country, dude. Seriously.
It's literally what I hear from every Spaniard. Like, I'm going to the UK or some shit.
Seriously, though. Our Prime Minister doesn't even speak English.
Oh, man. At least he's a purist. There's that.
Ever since 1978 around, we didn't have a Prime Minister who managed to speak English. It's a fucking tradition.
Who's the one prior to this one? Was it Podemos? Why am I thinking Podemos? Is that right?
Podemos. What a fucking bunch of hypocrites, too. When initially they started out really strong because they focused on the problems we've had. The economic clash, the corruption, which is we have a degree of corruption that we'd be fucking Mexico at this point. Like, you wouldn't believe for example, have you heard one of the latest things that happened?
I'm looking through the news right now, but
the female president of the community, of the Madrid community, Cristina Cifuentes, it was proven that her master's degree at the University of Rey Juan Carlos, it was a false degree.
That's sexy.
It was a false degree. It was gifted by the fucking university. So, you know, you can imagine my disillusionment when I'm like, so I'm here busting my ass to get a degree going. And because she's a fucking politician, they give her the fucking degree for free.
Well, there are honorary degrees which are awarded to people periodically. I mean, one of the very popular honorary degrees is the DD, or Doctor of Divinity, which is given out by various religious schools to people for whatever. I don't know.
Whatever.
I mean, yeah, like sometimes they have done some kind of great service or whatever, supposedly, so that the school will award them an honorary Doctor of Divinity.
Well, I suppose that could be a thing, but this was supposed to be a master's degree. This was a master's degree. She should have done a master's degree work. She didn't even do it.
Well, I mean, how educated does she have to be? I mean, you guys are literally over there fighting over Gibraltar still. Does this apparently hit the news again?
Oh my god, what a fucking shit show of a country this is. And every single time I go to the cinema now, I have to stand a fucking gender pay gap ad. A fucking politician telling me about the gender pay gap.
Yeah, I'm always surprised at how many fucking communists you have, like, running around in your country to this day. I mean, there was Franco, obviously, but you think some of you would have fucking learned? Like, my buddy
Franco was not a communist, though. Franco was a...
No, I know that. But Franco was not necessarily a good thing for the country,
No.
but he was in response to failed socialist practices within Spain. I mean, that's why.
Since you were talking about that, okay, mind if I offer you my input about why is that?
Your country, man.
Well, we had in 1931.
One extreme fails, you run to the other.
We've had a thing called the Second Republic, right?
Okay.
That's where everything began. Our republic started in the very worst time possible, with the rise of communism and fascism altogether. That's how everything started. The practices done by the government, by the first Republican government, well, let's say they were a tad bit unpopular. We're talking about the land, how you call it? Land reform, I think it's called. Agricultural reforms. Yeah, one of the first things they did was a series of agricultural reforms, which in theory would take the lands of the unworked lands of the rich, the ones that were not used, and give them to the give them to the jornaleros, to the farmers. But we've had this thing called also anarchism picking up. The radical anarchists won and started to pull this shit in the farms. The government had to answer with repression. The reforms ended up making enemies with the landowners and the fucking church. And in our country, the fucking church is powerful. The Catholic Church is powerful in our country. And after that, it led to the inevitable collapse of the first government republic and coming with a second, more conservative government. Where the second thing undid everything what the first government did, which earned enemies with the fucking left wing.
Yeah.
In 1936, that government went down. And we've had this thing called the Frente Popular, the Popular Front, which is a coalition of every single left party. Are you noticing what I'm trying to say? We've had this degree of polarization going on, that a single spark would bring everything down.
Why?
Why did we have this degree of polarization? Because for example, there was this feeling that for 130 years, the liberal governments, the monarchy, it's a very complicated story. We've had a fight for land reform ever since 1836, since the onset of the first liberal government. Because we didn't experience liberalism until the late 19th century. Whereas the French Revolution had it in the late 18th century, we didn't experience it until way later. Besides, we're a country in which the personalism of the leader is important. So we're naturally a bit authoritarian, if you know what I mean.
Well, that explains the king. I mean,
that explains the fucking king in that regard. So, and not only that, before the Civil War, there was attacks from the anarchists, from the communists, and from the phalangists at each other all over again. You see why it would get to a rise of tensions in that regard?
So would you say it's like the bonding of the state with the religion, basically, with the king, if you will, with the church, that's basically held back any sort of the social progress you've had towards building a republic?
State and religion have always been together in the history of our country. Well, the republic tried to sever it. And yeah, you might want to know why you might think that's one of the good reasons why the church supported the new military regime en masse.
I'm really not that familiar with Spanish history. I get bits and pieces of it, but I've never actually read into it. So I don't know.
I can tell you this. Ever since the 17th century, we've had one disastrous leader after the other. It's been a downward spiral ever since 1648.
So how do you plan to turn that around then, bud? What are you gonna do?
Not even sure. That's the institutions is
Beach party.
look. The institutions. This country is rotten to the core. That's the issue. Rotten to the core. Beset by what I call the rich, the people, the Francoists, the PP, the champagne socialists. You know who I call the champagne socialists, right?
Yeah, I think my friend is actually one of those.
Yeah,
which explains his communism, because he's a young kid. His parents are in the wealth, so.
For example, I cannot stand either, dude. I cannot stand not of a single political views in Spain. I cannot stand them.
So, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Do you have a political party that has some decent ideas and that also wants to dissolve the monarchy?
Well, and any so far, the only parties that would be explicitly against the monarchy so far, it's the fucking PCE, the Spanish Communist Party.
Well, that's not gonna work.
That's not gonna fucking work. The thing is, the Republican movement has been crippled ever since the defeat of the Spanish Civil War. Because Franco did an awesome job at destroying the core of the Republican movement.
Can you explain to me, like, in 3 sentences? Because every time I ask a Spaniard this, I always get like a half an hour lecture. But in 3 sentences, can you explain to me how your government works? Because as far as I understand it, it's a confederacy with caveats.
Confederate. Well, it's supposed to be 3 sentences. You said, right? Well,
yeah. Try in 3 sentences.
I'll try to explain it in a very, very short way.
Okay, here we go. 30 minutes.
No, it's not 30 minutes. It's basically I'm not sure if to call it a confederacy. You could almost say I'm not sure if it's an attempt to imitate the federal state, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, I've looked into it myself, and just reading through how it's supposed to function, I still don't understand it. It's like you've got different regions. I don't know what you call those regions specifically.
Comunidades autónomas, we call them in Spanish, which is
autonomous communities.
Yep.
So you've got a king, and then you've also got a parliament and a federal government.
Yep. The king doesn't do jack shit, though. It's just a figurehead.
He seems to have some influence. He likes to speak up when shit like Catalonia is going down. I remember what he said about Catalonia.
Yeah, he only talks, though. That's the only thing he can do, though.
So it's kind of like the monarchy in the United Kingdom. It's just a figurehead type position.
He's a figurehead who only speaks once a year. And even then, people, me myself, I have questioned the role of the monarchy so far, because there's some shady shit going on with our monarchy.
Yeah, it just seems like it's directionless. Like, that's the issue that I see with Spain. It's like you have all of these different elements of different types of governance in your country, and it seems like nobody has a real idea which way you guys are going. I mean, like, even if I try to understand it as like an outside observer, I have no fucking clue what the hell's going on in Spain half the time.
To be honest, I'm as lost as you are.
Well, that's part of the problem, bud. Like, that's That might be something you want to address.
Have you tried Hare Krishna?
Thing is, the whole experiment thing was supposed to be an experiment to appease the nationalists in that regard. Because imagine if we returned to the centralist state of Franco, we'd be fucking fucked in that regard. And even then, it didn't work.
No, like I said, you have too many communists for that. There's no way that's gonna fucking fly.
Yeah. Let me tell you a thing. Ever since I initially supported Podemos, actually, because they were addressing the true problems: corruption, the economic disparity, the fact that our government looked like a mafia. They look like an artistic combination of fucking cartel and the Yakuza. But in such an autistic mess that article, it's just so real. Sometimes what's happening. For example, you know what? One of the shady things going on with our monarchy, for instance. The archives of the 23rd of February of 1978. You know what happened that time?
Well, that's when you established your constitution.
Well, we've had a military coup d'etat happening.
Okay.
We've had a military coup happening in the 23rd of February.
Oh, man.
A military coup that was disarticulated by the intervention of the monarchy, in which the king denounced the coup. So, my question is, why are the archives still closed? The archives related to the coup d'etat of the 23rd of February are closed. We don't have any access to them.
Do you think it's a Jewish conspiracy?
What I think is it was a false flag.
But not the Jews this time.
Nah, not the Jews, dude.
Yeah, I'm so good at this. I can sense the Alex Jones coming when it's coming. I just start blaming the Jews for everything.
It's a conspiracy.
Oh, man.
But the thing is, yeah, I'm asking stuff like, why are you guys not allowing access to this? Or other questions. Why the fuck did the king wait till the coup was going on in order to denounce it? Like, why didn't he denounce it straight away? If he was such a, so Lord defender of democracy and such. And it's just several things going on with it. And it's a lot of eyebrows that I have raised right now.
Yeah, I'm just looking at your Wikipedia page, and it's fucking hilarious. So, established January 15th, 1834, 184 years. Kingdom of Spain. Appointed by monarch. Main organ, Council of Ministers. Responsible to Congress of Deputies and the Senate.
Oh.
So, like, just from that, I'm like, there's too much. There's just too much going on there.
Yeah, you want to know what the Senate is in our country? It's fucking empty. Like, the chamber of the Senate is never filled. It just exists there.
Yeah, might be a little. Might want to tone down on the complexity a little there, bud. I don't know. It's just. Yeah. I mean,
but then again,
it's hard enough to get people to pay attention to politics. Like,
yeah.
If your system's so fucking complex, nobody's gonna fucking pay attention to it.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is,
and especially when you have a whole bunch of regions in your country that are just consistently like, as soon as we get the chance, we need to get the hell out of this country. I mean, that's a problem.
Yeah, I know. But let me tell you this: I would gladly turn down things like the Senate, but the thing is, where would the politicians get their extra bonus then?
Well,
they might have to get a real job, huh?
Exactly. Exactly. Now you see why they established that post. It's basically a rotatory door.
One of these days, I'm going to find a Spaniard that can explain the shit show that is the Spanish government to me. One of these days. It's going to happen.
Look, I'm really sorry for not being able to explain it. In fact, I already openly admit that I don't know jack shit about how it works.
Like, how? Like, I mean, come on.
Like, I try to understand it. I try to. But it's like you. My brain explodes when I see it.
It's like you gotta open a history book and you're like, okay, so this all started back like 200 years ago, and this is how we got here from there, and that's why all of these random, disparate like government institutions exist.
Yep. Truth be told, we should have let the French win the Spanish Independence War.
You might have. Well, at least the rest of us could understand what the fuck's going on at that point. It would just be like mini France. And then we could be like, well, that's why it's fucked. So.
Yeah. Holmes and I did this is it's just such a hilarious shit show over here.
Yeah. Well, it's entertaining to listen to.
Yeah, it's hilarious, but at the same time I cried, dude. Mostly because we've been tumbling down ever since 1648.
Fair dues.
Like, listen, we've created the empire where the sun never set.
Okay, all right.
Look, listen, Spain was the first empire in which it had assets everywhere. And we, as the fucking fucktards we lost it.
What I really want to know is when are you going to deal with that whole, like, Portuguese issue? That's what I want to know.
The Portuguese issue has been a thing ever since the medieval times.
Do you know that the Portuguese actually think they had an empire at some point? Do you know that?
Well, they had a colonial empire.
Don't say that. Don't encourage them.
Yeah. What they don't want to tell you is that we annexed them for 60 years.
Well, they count like ocean space as part of their empire. It's like, yeah, okay, so you ran some boats around on the waters. Great job. Like, that's not an empire.
Well, yeah, I know the things. But for example, have you seen one of the things that trends sometimes in the Latin American countries? Blame Spain for everything, every single thing of their wrongs. You know what I mean?
Just blame Spain?
Because you know that there's a whole shit of general corruption issues in the Latin American countries, right?
Yeah, sure.
Well, it's easy to point the finger to us and blame us for having conquered them and massacred them, according to them.
No, I don't blame Spain for that. You guys pretty much had your hand out of that. What? How long ago was that now? Like 220 years? I don't even know.
200. It's been already 200 years ever since we lost the colonial empire over there. Almost 200 years.
Yeah.
So what happened in 1648 that you think started the downfall of Spain? Was it the Peace of Münster or was it the Battle of Lens?
It was the Peace of Westphal.
Yeah, Peace of Münster ended the 30 Years' War.
Yep. It was the peace treaty that basically, it basically said that we were finished as a European power. Well, no, we were still a great power, but our status as the dominant power of Europe was over.
I just found the Portuguese meme I was looking for.
And the thing is,
the 80 Years' War, yeah.
The thing is, Giovanna, we've had our ruling house, the Austrias, was tumbling down because it was such an incest, bedridden shit show going on there. Our last Austria's king, the last Habsburg, because we were ruled by the Habsburgs once. The last Habsburg we had, you know what the fuck was wrong with him? Everything. Like, he was weak. He was, how do you call it? He was mentally ill.
and who was obsessed with seeing his wife naked. That's the only thing he cared about.
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's anything wrong with a guy wanting to see his wife naked, huh?
Yeah, but I know, and it's not an issue. That's not the issue. But the thing is, ever since Philip III, the kings have laid the government on the hands of their prime ministers. Before, they ruled personally, you know. But ever since Philip III, we put our government on the validos. The validos is our prime ministers. And our validos turn out to be, well, they use the power not for the betterment of the empire, but for their own gain. Want to know what the end of the 30 Years War was for us? It was a military catastrophe, too. Because the tercios was done. The tercios, our military unit that basically allowed us to predominate over Europe, was done. It was over. What do you mean? Oh, yeah, we almost had a dollar. Oh, yeah. In the end, we've had an Italian king. Amadeo de Savoia. Amadeo of Savoy. Yes. German Empire. Yes. But the thing is, it wasn't because a king died in Spain. It was because we kicked our queen out. Queen Isabel II. Elizabeth II. Which we kicked her out. We kicked her out in the end in the revolution called the Glorious Revolution of 1868. Basically, I think we were tied because apparently she was a lecherous drunk whose only interest in government was fucking. No, literally, all she'd care about was to get some guy into the bed. That's it. Yep. Yeah. Which is what? Well, I don't know why. Well, speaking of the jokes, I know one joke of the German army of World War II. You want to know what it is? If you see how do you call it? If you see a silver plane, it's an American plane. If you see a green olive plane, it's an English plane. If you see nothing, it's the German Luftwaffe. That was basically a World War II German joke. Yeah, I know it's really horrible, but it's dark humor is golden. Yeah. The English had something to do with that. From what I know, the Germans never recovered from the Battle of England, at least in terms of air assets. That's from what I know. And I need to check what Wikipedia says about it. Battle of Britain, yes. Also, I've just checked how many losses the German Luftwaffe had over England. 2,000 planes shot down. That's that's actually impressive. But the English lost 1,800 planes. So the disparity was, well, I think it was almost 1-to-1, was it? Almost in that regard. Yep. But you want to know the difference? What happened mostly? While the British crewmen could jump out of their planes and land safely in British soil, the Germans couldn't jump out of their planes. Because they ended up being prisoners of the English. So it's basically lost pilot, no matter what. Whereas the English pilot, all we would do is jump out of the canopy if anything went wrong, land on the ground, walk to the nearest airbase, and go flying again. That's kind of impressive, actually. Also, one of the good World War II jokes I really love it's when. Do you remember Hermann Goering? Fat Herman. Well, Fat Herman once said, "If the British, if Berlin never gets bombed, you will stop calling me Goering, and you'll start calling me Meyer." In a fucking Hearts of Iron game, you know what name they attributed that quote? Herman Meyer. Herman Meyer. Holy fucking shit. What a bunch of delusional twits every single one of them was. I'm like, what the fuck did you expect? Did you really think Berlin would not get hit? Oh, and there was another thing going on. There was a time in which Germany tried to bring the Soviet Union into the Axis? Yep. During one of the conversations with Molotov, guess who decided to show up in the meeting? The Royal Air Force. The Royal Air Force paid a visit to the meeting by bombing them. So they continued the meeting underground, and while the German diplomat was trying to say that England was finished, and guess what Molotov says? He says, "If Great Britain is truly finished, whose bombs are this, and who the fuck is bombing us? If England is truly finished." But the thing is, Stalin was willing to enter into the Axis, but the conditions he asked, they were so big that Hitler would never admit to it. Some of the conditions were even complete freedom of the Soviet Union to operate in Turkey and the Middle East. You know why Hitler would never agree to that? Then again, World War II actually brought us a lot of golden moments. Isn't there a moment in which the Americans like to brag a lot? The nuts moment? He, it was I know where it was, Giovanna. It was during the siege of Bastogne in 1944, the early Battle of the Bulge, in which his company was surrounded besides by several SS Panzer divisions, and he basically said that nuts. The Americans like to brag a lot about that one. Nuts. But what's really nuts, I think, well, wanna know why I really believe history is written by the victors? For example, do you know a thing called Market Garden? Operation Market Garden.
My grandfather was there.
Your grandfather was there in Market Garden?
Yep. He was in the 101.
Screaming Eagles, right?
Yep. Yeah, he was there. He got shot there. Well, did he get... No, I think he got shot in the Battle of the Bulge.
Did he survive the war?
He did. Some fucking how.
Wow. Okay, Holmes, of respect to you and your family, dude.
I don't know what it is about Europeans. They make such a big fucking deal about it.
Well,
I told somebody. What was it? Kraut. I told Kraut offhandedly that my grandfather had dropped in the day before D-Day, and he was like, "Was he part of the 101?" I was like, "Yeah." And then he starts going on about it, and then a whole bunch of other people piped in on it. And honestly, what I think it was, the reason that they get so much credit, is because of that TV series.
Yeah, well, I wasn't meaning more about I just say respect your family because they participated in the war, not because of.
Do you want to see something cool?
Yes.
Union Aerospace.
Yeah, you can call me Martin if you want.
Martin.
Yes, like Martin Luther King.
Okay. Hang on. I'm gonna send you a couple of pictures here. I think you'll appreciate it if you care about this particular topic. Anyway.
World War II was my drug in my early years.
Hang on. I gotta go get my phone. 1 sec, I'll be right back. Uno momento.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I also love World War One, studying about it and learning all of the things, but then again, World War One can be even more horrifying than World War Two sometimes. Oh, beautiful. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Yeah. You were like, yeah, I'm out of here, right? I'm out of. But the thing is, let me tell you, Joanna, Operation Market Garden. So I want you to relax, take a drink, and listen. Okay? So, in 1944, you guys kicked the shit out of the Germans, and they were falling back to mainland Germany, right? So, the the bright heads of the Allied High Command decided to launch the biggest no, how you call it, the biggest air transported operation in history, Operation Market Garden, in which the biggest airborne assault in history. Imagine, fucking around 50,000 paratroopers falling from the sky. The objective, the Arnhem Bridge. Wanna know why it was so fucking important? Because well, because it was the entry into Germany. Because there's a thing called the West Wall, right? Which is basically a series of German forts in the western border. Yes, the Siegfried Line. There was one weak point though, which was the Arnhem Bridge. So imagine if the Allied High Command could take it, then the Allied forces could sweep from Germany to Germany. From there, bypass the Siegfried Line and just, roll over the Germans in their own country before Christmas, as the saying goes, right? The operation was a fucking disaster. Wanna know what happened? Everything that could have went wrong, it went wrong. The whole plan depended on everything going right. That's the issue. That's the first issue. It depended on everything going well. And nothing went well. For example, the paratroopers were equipped with faulty radios. The radios didn't work when the operation started. Second, the Dutch intelligence was faulty. Well, not the Dutch intelligence, but the Allied intelligence in general was way off. You know what they were telling the Allied, what the English intelligence was saying? That there was how you call it? That the only the German troops in the Netherlands were third-rate troops, if you know what I mean. The boys and old men are either too young or too old to fight, right? Guess what the fuck was in the Netherlands? 2 Panzer SS divisions. Yep, 2 Panzer SS divisions, all of them transferred from the Eastern Front. So you can imagine what happens to a paratrooper, to an airborne trooper, if he lands in the middle of a fucking SS Panzer division. Yeah, not good. Oh. Yep. Yeah, remarking. Yep. Remagen, well, yeah, that was a different story, the whole ordeal of Remagen. But even so, it was a cool movie, I suppose. I'm starting to feel old when I remember seeing it. Yep. The thing is, the whole operation was a bloody disaster, as English would say. In the end, what happened? The large part of the first British airborne destroyed. It gone entirely. They couldn't hold the Arnhem Bridge. They took it, but they couldn't hold it because help never arrived. The British 30th Corps, the relief force, was only 30 miles away or 16 miles away. Do you know how frustrating that is? And guess why they had to stop their advance? Because the infantry couldn't catch up. Because they had pushed too far and the British were worried that the Germans were about to make a counterattack. So in the end, it was a total disaster. And guess how the history books and Wikipedia call it? Allied operational failure. If the Germans had done it, it would have been called a German defeat instead of an operational failure. Want to know why they call it an operational failure? Because according to Montgomery, they achieved 90% of the objectives.
There you go. There's a whole bunch of fucking pictures from our personal catalog. You will not be able to get your hands on that shit. Because the National Archives burned down in '73 or some shit. Took all the records from World War II and then some from Vietnam with it. I think it was '73. I don't fucking remember, something like that.
How curious that the records of Vietnam just vanished with it, huh?
Well, it wasn't all of them.
Oh, true.
It was just like a good 40% of them or some shit. The rest were stored elsewhere. There were no computer backups back then, so they had them all at the National Archives. That building burned down and took everything with it. So.
Oh fuck! That's unfortunate.
Yup.
That's unfortunate, but that third one is your granddad.
Yeah, that third one back. That's those other three guys. They're all dead. They all got shot.
Oh fucking hell!
Yeah. Yeah, pretty fucked.
Pretty fucked.
He didn't say a whole lot about it, and we didn't really know a whole lot about his service because he never fucking talked about it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he went back with a good dose of post-traumatic stress disorder.
Oh yeah, he was pretty much fine. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he didn't talk about it. So I mean, he went on to start up a printing press. He was extremely successful. He built his own house from scratch. I mean, the guys back then were just something fucking else, man. Like I don't know what it is. I would imagine you come back from fucking World War II and you're probably thinking to yourself, I am the luckiest motherfucker on the planet right now. You know,
every single guy who came back from World War II was the luckiest motherfucker in the world.
Yeah.
When did your granddad enlist? When the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor?
I don't know what the story is there. Honestly, he went in, and the way that he talked about it was that he went in because the money was good. He didn't join the gliders because he thought that was a death sentence. And he was just a regular paratrooper. He was colorblind, which, you know, they almost didn't let him be a paratrooper because of it. But because of the way they had the lights, he could easily see, you know, the lights changing from red to green in the plane, so like he could still jump. So they passed him, and he made some decent money out there and came back. That was the way he just looked at it as something.
Well, if he did survive, well, I gotta say, but He's
got-
one lucky motherfucker.
He got very lucky. I mean, he got in the battle. Okay, so in Market Garden, he had to pull some guy out of a plane who got shot down. So they were behind enemy lines because they were always fucking behind enemy lines.
It's behind the Germans. Yep.
Yep, and there was a down plane. They went in. He had to pull out this guy while they were under cover. And that's, if you look at the jacket picture I sent you, on the top left, that is his Bronze Star that he got for that.
Wow.
The purple in the middle there, that's his Purple Heart, and that was where he got shot. And I think that was at the Battle of the Bulge. He got shot in the leg.
Well, could have been worse, right?
Got out of it. I mean, that's
Got
all
out
you
of
could really hope for. You get shot in the leg, that's a pretty good deal if you walk away from it afterwards.
You know, my granddad, he was also military, but in the Spanish Civil War.
He was, I think he was assigned in the front of Castellon near Valencia. He got enlisted, I think, in 37, 38 or something. But by then, the war was already lost, you know?
Yeah, my dad just like casually mentioned this shit to me. Apparently, my grandfather was also a cavalryman. My great-grandfather was a cavalryman, and he couldn't serve in World War I because he was German.
Oh,
So, like, my whole dad's side of the family has been like a whole bunch of like military guys, and my dad never told me about it because his twin brother followed in that tradition. He went into Vietnam. He didn't get killed or anything, but I think my dad was more of the opinion that it shouldn't be like a family tradition sort of thing. So we never heard.
Well, your other family went to Vietnam.
He was in Vietnam, but like he was working. I don't know what it was. It was like psychology or some shit. He wasn't like in the thick of it. He was doing some sort of like backline ops. I don't know.
He wasn't precisely MacV-Sock, was he?
No, well, no, and I don't blame him. I mean, Jesus Christ, like it's not going to war is not a glorious thing in these days.
It isn't. I know it isn't. It isn't a glorious thing, and it isn't a glorious thing. And I personally haven't participated in the military or anything, but I think I'm old enough to realize that it's not a glorious thing, or you know.
No, it's something to be proud of, but I mean, at the same time, like, you know,
never forget
that's your family member that had to go through like fucking living hell, just for you to fucking exist. You know?
Yeah, you wanna know what when I see all of this happening, all this nonsense, I'm like, fucking hell, people fought a world war for this. Oh well.
It's one of those things where, like, you know, people talk about the U.S. quite a lot in our like excessive patriotism and whatnot, but you know, the thing is like I think most families in the U.S. have somebody who's in the military or is currently serving or some shit because we have a very large military, and I think that breeds a certain level of patriotism.
Patriotism is how you call it. It's a good thing most of the time. Excessive or ultra nationalism though, that's the thin line, as we call it.
Well, we have a word for that though. It's jingoism.
Jingoism, yeah. In Europe we call it ultranationalism. I know in the US you call it jingoism.
That's what we call it. I mean, it's just like somebody who's just like America's good just because it's America, and it's like, well, yeah, but there's a little more to it than that, you know.
But by the way, is that true? Is it true the whole basis of the American army is now the shock and awe thing?
Dude, it's always been that way. It's been that way since Civil War.
Civil War, huh?
That's how Lincoln won. I mean, at some point he was just like, you know, this whole fighting skirmishes isn't working. We're just gonna fucking blaze a trail through everything and burn everything down as we go. And that really informed a lot of our current military practices because it was effective.
Was it because, as far as I know, I think My dad usually tells me that the American people do not tolerate casualties as much as other countries do.
Well, no, we don't. And our military has a very good code of ethics when it comes to, when it comes to civilians. And you can actually see that in Obama took it to an extreme. He was basically saying that he laid out policies that basically made our Marines have to. Somebody in Iraq or Afghanistan could shoot at our armed services, and as soon as they dropped their gun and put their hands up, we couldn't shoot back. And we do have a pretty high regard for that. I mean, I think the exception to that rule is our drone program, which nobody fucking agrees with. I don't know too many people who are like pro drone strikes. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the thing is that our media, I don't know, our media loves the horror stories, right? So like, anytime some guy goes fucking crazy in like some other country and starts like, there was some guy in Afghanistan or Iraq, I forget where, but he had some like PTSD episode, and he got a gun and like went door to door, like shooting up, I think it was a whole bunch of Iraqis, because he was having an event. People played that up like it was the biggest fucking deal. But the thing is that is the exception to the rule. I mean, military engagement for Americans, as far as I'm aware, they go out of their fucking way not to hit civilians. I mean, to our detriment, probably putting our people in danger for it. I mean, you'd have to talk to a military guy. You have to talk to somebody who's actually served to really know. But that's what I hear, anyway.
That's true. But the thing is,
there have been massacres that have been committed by American troops, and for whatever reason. I mean, there's the My Lai massacre that was well known from Vietnam. There was something that happened in Afghanistan not that long ago, and
in Iraq, Editha.
Yeah.
The Battle of Editha. Which I don't even know what the fuck happened in Editha, anyways.
Let's look it up.
Rumors that apparently because an American unit got ambushed, they killed their commanding officer, and the soldiers went insane because of it. Killing every Iraqi they could find.
You watch a lot of movies. This is a movie as well, is it?
That's a fucking movie. But then again, movies, I gotta take them with a grain of salt, anyways.
Okay. Battle of Editha was presented at the Toronto Film Festival, September 11th of 2007. Nick Broomfield was the director there.
I remember when fucking Paul Verhoeven did the Starship Troopers movie because he got triggered by the book.
All right, so November 19th, 2005, Editha, a city in the western Iraqi province of Al-Anbar. 24 unarmed Iraqi men, women, and children were killed by a group of United States Marines following an incident where an IED killed one Marine and seriously wounded two others. Since the release of the film, the U.S. military controversially dropped all charges to all Marines involved. Ooh. Where's Trigger? Do you want to talk to a Marine?
You
want to talk to a U.S. Marine? I think he's still around.
Well, I mean,
it's up to you, Giovanna. It's your show. It's a buddy of mine. His name's Trigger. He served I think a couple of tours out in Iraq and Afghanistan. He's a ex-U.S. Marine.
The time here and see how we're doing. Think we've been going now for Jesus fuck if I could get the right. Yeah, we've been going for just 2 hours and 20 minutes. So I was kind of thinking about ending it here, but you know, if you want to get him into the Discord, maybe sometime we could have him in a live stream and talk with him then.
Sure. He's open for it, so yeah, we'll do it another time. But yeah.
All right, that'd be cool. All right, well, I think yeah, we've been going now for over 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I think last time we went over 3 hours, and I don't really want to do that too often because I don't think people will watch a live stream that goes too long. I mean, if they're here in the audience when it's live, maybe, but if you know, I mean, I don't have the audience that Sargon does, and I don't think that a lot of people are going to come look at a 2 hour a video and say, hey, yeah, that'd be cool to watch, because they don't know what the hell it's about. But yeah, so I think we can just draw it to a close now. But thank you all for coming in and chatting with me, and we'll do it again sometime.
Okay.
All right, then. So, for Republic News, this is Liviana signing off.